What if a town didn't just vanish but kept watching you long after? Welcome to Greybirch, where time stands still, and so do the people. Part 1. The Return to Greybirch. I don't know what I expected Greybirch to look like. Ash, maybe. Rot. The soft collapse of a forgotten place finally giving in to gravity. But what I saw as I crested the last wooded ridge was something else, entirely. Greybirch was whole. The rooftops were intact. The chimneys stood like silent sentinels. Paint clung to the houses in faded but uncracked layers, as if the elements had politely passed it by. No vines, no graffiti, no scavengers. Footprint, just stillness, and the strangest part? The town smelled clean, like cedar, wood smoke, and old linen, like someone had aired the place out this morning. The date was October 11th. I'd spent weeks navigating old forestry maps and whispered local warnings. Half the roads were blocked off by rusted signs or chains, but none of that stopped me, because 50 years ago Greybirch vanished, and not in the poetic sense, literally. One census taker went in, filed a blank report, and the town was never seen again, wiped from directories, redacted in records, buried beneath paperwork and silence. But someone kept it clean. I parked by the old general store and walked the perimeter of the square. Storefronts, a barber's pole, a post office, a chapel with its bell rope still hanging like a noose from heaven. No animals, no birds, not even wind, just the buildings, waiting. I set up in what used to be the Birch Bell Inn. Corner room on the second floor, dusty but dry. I unpacked my camera gear, batteries, light kits, notebooks. I even tried to get a signal, but there was nothing, not even static. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed and reviewed the footage I'd taken that afternoon. Pan shots of the square, zooms into the chapel window, a long handheld walk down the center street toward a row of houses. Then I saw it, at the 3-minute 22-second mark. Myself, not a reflection, not a shadow. Me, standing in the background, just over my own shoulder. But I was holding the camera. I never left the viewfinder, and yet, there I was, unmoving, staring at something I couldn't see. I paused the footage, rewound it, frame by frame, and there she was again. Same posture, same jacket, same braid tucked under my collar. But her eyes were closed. I shut the laptop, told myself it was a glitch, maybe an old reflection somehow layered in. I stood to stretch, then I heard it. A knock, not at the door. From inside the closet, 3 slow, deliberate taps, flesh on wood. I stared at it. The handle didn't move. The air went thick. I picked up the camera instinctively, turned on the mic. "Hello?" I said. "Is someone there?" Silence. Another knock, softer this time. I stepped closer. Each footfall seemed to sink deeper into the wooden floor, like walking across a sponge soaked in dread. I placed my hand on the knob, turned it. Nothing, just a coat rack. My own jacket hanging beside a moth-eaten robe. Almost laughed, almost, until I saw what was behind the robe. A mirror, old, cloudy, nailed to the back of the closet wall. It wasn't my reflection that looked back. It was her, the other me. Still, eyes closed. And then, she smiled. Not with joy, but with relief, like someone watching you arrive, exactly when you were supposed to. The light in the room flickered. I slammed the door, threw the lock, backed away until my spine hit the opposite wall, and somewhere behind the wood, I heard her voice for the first time. "Welcome back, Nova." The closet went silent. But I didn't sleep. Couldn't, because when I opened the laptop again, that frame was gone, replaced with static, but the audio still played. A voice that wasn't mine. A whisper. She never left. And in that moment, I realized something terrible. Maybe Greybirch wasn't just waiting. Maybe it was watching, and maybe it remembered me, before I ever arrived. Part 2. The Ones Who Stayed Still. The next morning, I stepped out of the inn just after sunrise. The light felt off. Not gray, not gold, just old. Like something weathered and worn had been spread across the sky. The square was quiet. No birds, no wind. But I wasn't alone. They were there. All of them. Dozens of townspeople, standing in perfect silence. Their eyes were open, their mouths slightly parted, their heads tilted just slightly upward, all of them, gazing at the clock tower. Men, women, even children, not statues, not mannequins, real. Their clothes were from different eras, some in 1930s wool coats, others in faded denim. A boy wore a striped t-shirt like something out of the 1950s. I stepped closer. Their faces didn't move, but their eyes, some of them blinked. I caught one woman's chest rise and fall as if drawing a breath after holding it for too long. But still, none of them looked at me. They were focused, all of them, on the clock tower. It stood tall above them, its hands frozen at 7:06. I whispered, "Hello?" Nothing. I walked among them, weaving through that silent crowd. The hairs on my arms prickled. I felt watched, yes, but not by the people, by the town. At the base of the tower, I found an iron box embedded in the stone wall, a rusted latch. I pried it open with the back of my flashlight. Inside, a stack of census records, handwritten, all dated decades apart, 1921, 1922, 1923, 1924. Different names, different officials. But the handwriting was the same, slanted, careful, precise, same penmanship, same signature style, like the town itself was writing them. The last page was blank, except for a space labeled taker's name. It was already filled in. Nova, the Umero, my name, written before I ever arrived. My middle name isn't even W. I stumbled back, and every head in the square turned, all at once. Every single face now looking directly at me, not blinking, not breathing, just staring. I turned and ran down the street, past the general store. Around the curve and out toward the road that had brought me in, I didn't stop, didn't think, just ran. The trees swallowed me. Gravel crunched underfoot, my lungs burned. After 10 minutes, I hit the wooden sign I passed yesterday, the one with the bullet holes in the corner. Greybirch, Pop, 313. Somehow, I was back at the entrance, back where I'd started, but I hadn't looped, I hadn't turned around. There was only one road, one direction, and yet I was here, in the square, again. The townspeople hadn't moved. I backed away slowly, pulled out my portable radio from the camera bag, static, then a voice, a woman's voice. Crackled, distant. She said, "Don't look at the clock. It remembers who you were." Then the signal cut. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. It was mine, not recorded, not echoed, mine, but I never said those words. Not yet. I looked back at the clock tower. Its hands had moved. 7. I don't know how long I stood there, or how many times the clock ticked after that. But I remember this. The moment I looked back toward the crowd, they were closer, just a step, maybe two, but closer, and their eyes were wet, like they had just remembered how to cry, or maybe they were crying for me. I walked backward until I reached the steps of the inn again. The door creaked open behind me without a touch. The air inside smelled like old wood and dustless linen. The light flickered once, and somewhere faintly, under the floorboards, I heard a scratch, like someone writing, the pen dragging slowly across paper, filling in a name I hadn't spoken in years, Nova W. Marrow, and this time I didn't correct it. Part 3, The Echoes of Watchers. There's a little antique shop just off the square. I didn't notice it before. I don't think it was there before, but this morning, it was open. Door wide, bell silent, no clerk, no lights, just shelves, old, Radios, mirrors with warped reflections, taxidermy birds with missing eyes, and near the back, a box labeled Recorded. Inside, a dusty VHS camcorder, still holding a tape. Label peeled off. I took it, plugged it into my portable converter, and watched. Static. Then a room. This room. The inn. The same bedspread, same curtains, same mark on the wall where I hung my jacket, and sitting in the chair by the window. Me. Not just similar, identical. Right down to the freckle on my collarbone, but something was off. She didn't blink. Didn't shift, just smiled as if waiting for someone to ask the wrong question. Then, I heard my voice, asking the questions, from behind the camera. Why did you come back? The other me answered, You mean why did you stay? I didn't. Not yet. But you will. My skin crawled. The me on screen tilted her head. You think you're filming this? She asked. You already did. You just haven't seen it yet. Then the video cut to static, and in the next frame, I wasn't there. Just the chair, empty, rocking. I shut the tape off, didn't rewind, didn't move for a long time. Later that afternoon, I left the inn, wandered into the woods behind the chapel. The trees were tall, still, no wind, but something whispered anyway, like branches breathing. Then I saw it. A photograph, pinned to a tree with a rusted nail, black and white. Slightly blurred, me, standing in the town square. Back to the camera. I pulled it down, behind it another, and another. A trail. Each photo nailed to the next tree, each one of me. Some candid, some mid-step, some just staring. And the backgrounds, they changed. The diner, the general store, the inside of the chapel, places I hadn't been yet. At least, not that I remember. The people in the photos were the same, always watching, eyes fixed, never blinking. In one photo, a woman holds a sign. The image is faded, but you can just barely read it. She returns to leave again. I followed the trail, until it ended at a stump. A single photo lay on top, this one in color, sharp, fresh. It showed me, wearing the same clothes I had on that day, same braid, same scarf, but something was behind me, a hand, just reaching from behind a doorframe, long, fingers, gray skin, not touching, just reaching. The back of the photo had a date, October 18th, next week. I turned in circles, scanning the trees, expecting something, anything, to move. But the forest was frozen, and I was shaking. Back at the inn, I spread the photographs. Across the floor, tried to find logic, sequence, a pattern. But there was only this. Someone had been watching me before I arrived. Someone had known I was coming. And now, someone was documenting everything I hadn't done yet. I played the VHS again. My voice asked, "Who's taking the photos?" And my reflection answered, "You are." I shut it off. Outside, the town square was empty again. Not a soul in sight. Not even the ones who stayed still, but I could feel them. Behind curtains, under floorboards, inside mirrors, watching, waiting, recording everything. And somewhere in that silence I heard a whisper. Not from the trees, not from the camcorder, from behind the closet door. Again, 3 words, soft, breathless. "You're almost ready." I didn't open it. Not this time, because I already knew what I'd find. Not a body, not a ghost. Just me, smiling like I'd been waiting for myself. Part 4. The clock strikes now. It's time. That phrase kept circling my head like a vulture. It's time. It's time. It's time. I don't remember when I decided to approach the clock tower. I only know that I did. The town didn't stop me. The watchers didn't turn. No doors opened, no radio static. Just silence. And the slow crunch of gravel beneath my boots. The tower rises like a spine cracked backward. Too tall, too narrow, too old to still stand. but it does. It always has. I reached the base. The face of the clock wasn't stone. Not wood, not glass. It was a mirror. A perfect silvered circle, no numbers, no hands, no ticking. I stared at myself, and I didn't blink. Not because I was afraid, but because the reflection didn't wait for me. It kept moving. I tilted my head. She turned hers the other way. I stepped forward. She stepped back. I raised my hand. She did not. I touched the surface, and everything shattered. Not the glass. Me. In an instant, I saw them. Hundreds of versions of myself. Thousands. Every path, every choice. Every moment I forgot I made Nova as a mother, Nova as a librarian, Nova in a hospital bed, Nova on a mountain peak, all different, all distant, and yet, all of them ended the same. Greybirch, sometimes walking, sometimes carried, sometimes alone, always ending here. Some resisted, some smiled. One jumped from the tower, another wrote her name in a book made of teeth, and one that looked exactly like me, stared directly back through the mirror, mouth moving, saying something. I leaned closer and saw it. She wasn't saying anything, she was counting. Down 10, 9, 8. I turned away. The tower hummed, the sky darkened, the ground beneath me trembled like breath being held too long. I ran, back through the alley, past the chapel, into the square, and they were moving. The townspeople. They weren't walking, not really. They slid, one frame at a time, like old film sputtering through a projector. Jerk. Pause. Jerk. Eyes never moving. Smiles stitched wide, hands twitching just slightly, like they were reaching for something. Not quite there. I backed into the inn, locked the door, sat with my knees against my chest and my back to the wall. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I remember was dirt in my mouth. Thick, wet, loamy. I gagged, spat it out, clawed at my tongue. There were roots, tiny ones, like something had been growing in me. I ran to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and under my collarbone, scratched into the skin, like it had been written with broken glass. My name, Nova, all caps, red, still fresh, not carved in a panic, not frenzied, neat, precise, and under it, property of Greybirch. I turned on the faucet. Water didn't run. Instead, a sound, like ticking, but wet, like a clock bleeding. The mirror fogged slowly, and written in the condensation were words I hadn't seen since I first read that VHS tape. You already stayed. You just haven't noticed yet. Outside, in the distance, the tower chimed. Once, twice. Third time, louder than sound, louder than memory. And then, everything went still again, except the watchers. They kept sliding forward, one frame closer, one breath away. Time was moving now, and it was mine. Part 5, What the Town Remembers. The town hall had always been locked, but this morning the doors were open, not wide, just slightly, like someone had gone in and forgot to close them behind. No dust on the handle, no webs in the corners. It smelled like static and old cedar. Inside, the air was cold, colder than it had any right to be. Paper lay scattered like leaves on the floor. Most of it was blank. Some pages had single words. Watch. Return. Record. I stepped deeper into the building. Floorboards didn't creak. They pulsed, like they were waiting for someone to notice they were still alive. Then I found it, a wooden box, nailed shut behind the front desk. Splintered with age, but still strong. I pried it open with a broken drawer handle. Inside, a journal, faded, stained at the edges. The name on the inside cover, W.H. Lantry, the census taker. I turned the first page. I arrived in Greybirch, population 313. When I left, I was the only name left to count. They were waiting. For me. Still. Silent. Staring. Page after page, his words spilled like panic bottled too long. They recorded us back into being. They didn't move until I looked away. I think they took a part of me. The part that forgets to remember. In the final pages he writes, I tried to burn this place. It rebuilt itself. I tried to leave. I arrived again. The watchers don't watch. They rewind. I don't know how long I stood there reading. At some point, I noticed the projector in the back of the hall. Old, caked with dust that didn't match the rest of the room. Someone had tried to hide it. Behind it, a metal case. Inside, film reels, 6 of them, each marked with a single year, 1967, 1971, 1982, 1990, 2004, then the last, now. I loaded the first reel. The screen flickered. Greybirch, in color, children, laughing, shops open, banners across the square. Then, cracks. Buildings aging, wood warping, glass breaking, people vanishing one by one until only the square remained. Silent. Then the tape rewound itself. The decay reversed. Windows unshattered. Doors closed. Paint brightened. Time undone. I watched all 6. Each reel was a cycle. Life. Collapse. Silence. Reconstruction like breathing or blinking. The last reel. The one labeled now. It showed me arriving, walking, sleeping, filming, running. It showed my dreams. It showed things I hadn't done yet. And then it showed me reading the journal. Right now, I turned away. In the back of the book, one last line, written differently, as if the ink had been dragged across the page by something not entirely human. You were always going to arrive. You were always going to forget. I stood holding the book like it was evidence, and that's when I saw the cameras. Tiny, hidden in corners, peeking from wall cracks, inside the light fixtures, behind the stained glass, recording, watching, rewinding. I stumbled outside, heart hammering. The town was quiet again, still, but not empty. The square was full. The townspeople, still frozen, still staring, now held something in their hands. Mirrors, small, cracked ones. And in every reflection, I was already there. Not just once, many times, different clothes, different expressions, but always the same ending. I was never making a documentary. I was the documentary. The town wasn't just haunted. It was haunted by memory, by repetition, by the need to be remembered. Greybirch was the loop, the reel, the archive, and I was next in line to be filed, forgotten, then rewatched. Somewhere out there, another me is arriving right now, unpacking her gear, setting up the first shot. And somewhere else, another version is reading this journal, trembling, trying to make sense of the impossible. We're all part of the footage, every blink, every breath, every scream that never made it to tape. Greybirch remembers what we forget, because that's how it survives, and tonight, I think it's almost ready to begin again. Part 6. You are the census. I'm recording this final entry not because I want to, but because I have to. Because if I don't, I'm not sure what will become of me, or what this place will become. The clock tower, silent for 50 years, has started ticking, a slow, deliberate tick, 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 tick. I hear it now outside my window, echoing through the empty streets like a heartbeat. I thought the town was dead, frozen in time, but it's not dead. It's watching. The buildings themselves seem to lean closer, their windows like eyes. The shutters twitch, the rooftops shudder, and the people in the square, they blink. Slowly, almost painfully, they blink. They're not statues anymore. They're alive in the way a ghost might be alive, half here, half trapped, moving on the edge of something that doesn't quite belong to this world. I can see them watching me, smiling now. But it's not a friendly smile, not a welcoming one. It's a smile that knows the end of the story, the punchline of a joke I never wanted to hear. Because I'm not leaving this town. I never left. I'm here again. I see myself just down the street, the version of me from the first reel, walking with the camera, setting up the tripod, taking her first step into Greybirch. I try to call out to her, I try to warn her, but my mouth opens and no sound comes out. Only dust, a choking, dry dust that tastes like memory. I can't scream. I can't move. I'm trapped between moments, a ghost watching another ghost. The clock ticks louder now, tick, 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 and with each tick the town grows clearer, sharper, more alive, or maybe it's me fading. The shadows stretch across the square. They reach for me. I see a typewriter on a desk in a dimly lit room, old metal keys worn from years of use. A hand moves over the keys, slowly, steadily, and I watch the paper feed through the machine. One name is typed, only one. Mine, N-O-V-A-V. Letters appear on the page as if carved by cold fingers. The camera pulls back and I see the room is empty, except for the census sheet on the desk and the ticking clock on the wall behind it. The town exhales a breath I didn't know it was holding. The people in the square smile wider. Their eyes gleam with a terrible understanding, like they've been waiting a long time for this. For me. For the moment I became the census, I am no longer the recorder. I am the recorded, the document, the count, the one name left standing when the silence falls, the last breath in a long, slow exhale. And as the clock ticks once more, tick, the screen fades to black. The whisper of 100 forgotten voices echoes. One name remains, mine, and Greybirch waits until the next arrival. Greybirch keeps its secrets, and now so do you. If this story unsettled you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling tales from forgotten places. What would you do if you were the last name on the census? Let me know in the comments below.